On July 20th, 2025, Sunset Boulevard closes on Broadway, and as of now, it has no plans to come to Los Angeles. And I think that's a damn shame, because this Sunset Boulevard production is so good, it deserves to come to the West Coast, especially given its super meta, super minimalist style. I think it would be a great fit for Sunset Boulevard to come all the way here to Sunset Boulevard. Well, this isn't Sunset Boulevard, this is actually Hollywood Boulevard. But the question is, where would Sunset Boulevard go if it came to Los Angeles? And that's a very interesting question for this show specifically, because there's a very important moment in this Sunset Boulevard revival starring Nicole Scherzinger and Tom Francis, where at the top of Act 2, Tom Francis, who plays Joe Gillis, walks out of the theater and sings the opening number, the title number of the show, while walking down the street. Right now he's doing it through the streets of New York, but I think it would be really cool when it comes to LA for him to actually walk out onto the streets of Hollywood itself, because this show is about Hollywood and the grit and the grime and the gritty, ugly layer that lays beneath the surface of the Hollywood film industry. So today, I have narrowed it down to 3 theaters that I think that Sunset Boulevard could work, where the Sunset Boulevard walk would work specifically. So we're here at the Pantages, and we are gonna figure out which theater is the perfect theater for the Sunset Boulevard walk. So myself, my boyfriend Jerry right here behind the camera, is going to help me to figure out exactly what the perfect walk would be, and also see if we can do the Sunset Boulevard walk ourselves, time it out, do some like in-depth technical work and see exactly how we can make this thing work. And hopefully convince the Jamie Lloyd Company to bring this show to LA, because I love it so much and I really want it to be here. Please bring it here. Doesn't have to have Nicole. I know she's a little problematic. What about Christina Aguilera? What about Britney Spears? Anne Hathaway? Jojo Siwa? We can talk about that part later. But today, we're gonna start at the Pantages and figure out if this theater would work for the Sunset Boulevard walk. Let's go. So we are starting here at the beautiful Pantages Theater, a gorgeous Art Deco style theater built in 1929. And immediately right off the bat, I think that this is such a beautiful spot to have the Sunset Boulevard production come to, because if you were to do the walk, well, you have the Hollywood Walk of Fame right here on the street. You've got Buster Keaton, Kristen Bell, Adele Dazeem. Hello.
What if she...
Wait, Idina Menzel for Norma Desmond actually would kind of eat? I don't think that would happen. Could happen. All right, yeah, so we're gonna try to not get arrested, I guess, by walking around a theater multiple times. Hopefully not looking too suspicious. So if you come back around here, around Hollywood Boulevard and down onto Argyle Street, around here is where the stage door of the Pantages is. This is likely where Tom Francis or whoever's going to be playing Joe Gillis in this production would likely come out. So this here would be the stage door entrance for the Pantages. Oh, you can even see right through their stage door. Interesting. So you would probably have to come out from this door or somewhere around there, walk out.
You could do this in the West End version. They do have this like they have a little, the beginning of the song is in there.
Right.
And it's like this alleyway. And then...
So on the West End and the Broadway versions, both did the walk a little differently. When they did it at the Savoy Theater in the West End, there was a lot more backstage space that Tom Francis had to walk through. He also had a lot more space to walk through once he got back inside the theater, because he had to walk through the lobby, down a bunch of stairs, back into the stalls, onto the stage. Whereas on Broadway, the St. James is a much smaller theater, so he was able to go out the doors of the theater more quickly, have more time out on the street, and then less time. He didn't even have to go back into the lobby. He just went in one of the side doors facing the street and was able to walk pretty much like directly onto the stage to finish the song. So, at the Pantages, which is currently running the Neil Diamond musical, A Beautiful Noise, you have this beautiful Art Deco entrance.
Very Hollywood.
Very, very Hollywood. I think that in a show about Hollywood, glitz and glamour, and also Hollywood rot and ugliness, it would be a beautiful place to have. I could even see him coming like out of
these doors?
coming out of these lobby doors, maybe down that way, maybe back down this way somehow.
I feel like because you have such a gorgeous lobby, I feel like what I would do in this is I would have this be the end of, like, I would start over there and then probably even like past this and past that way and then come back and have for the last verse of the song.
There's also a moment where he'll usually stop somewhere, like, say about right here. Wait, Dre, take the camera. Where he would stop, like, maybe somewhere right here, and then you would see, like, in a pan up, you could see, like, the marquee that says Sunset Boulevard. So I'd be, like, right here, I'd be saying Sunset Boulevard, and you'd see, like, Sunset Boulevard. And then I would, like, walk also over here, and where this piece of corn is for shucked, it would be whoever the actress is that's playing Norma Desmond. So imagine this corn is the Colster singer. I wanted to check out, like, are there good, like,
Any good stars?
Are there any good stars that would be, like, really interesting or funny to, like, feature? If Cecil B. DeMille's star was here, that would actually be, like, maybe the most perfect thing you could have because he's a character in Sunset Boulevard. So in the Broadway production, because the streets around the St. James are so small, they're able to, like, close it off for, like, the 5 minutes, or, like, around 30 minutes they have to close off the street for the Sunset Boulevard walk, so we can walk across the street and then walk back across again. I don't think it would really be possible to do that here because LA is such a car-centric city and Hollywood Boulevard specifically is, like, such a busy street. Nor do I really think there would be a need to go all the way across the street and back for any reason. So I think we would do the walk probably just, like, around the stage door, maybe down this way a little bit, and then back inside again. What you also have to consider is that the lobby of the Pantages is so beautiful that I also think there are moments that you could also stage inside the lobby before he heads back inside again. Obviously, we can't do that because the theater's closed and they have a show tonight. I'm not buying a ticket to the Neil Diamond musical just to make a YouTube video. Are you kidding me? But we have to take that into consideration. So the song is around, like, 3 minutes. I would say maybe the last minute of the walk you would have to leave time to get inside the lobby, maybe do one more, like, show stop moment, and then back inside the theater again to end the song in. Also, wait, did we miss any?
I feel like we did a Steven Schwartz. No, Tim Rice. Ooh, is Andrew Lloyd Webber here?
Oh, does Andrew Lloyd Webber have a star? That's a great question. Let's see if Andrew's got a star.
Iconic. Yes. Oh my God.
Oh wait. Oh no, this is perfect actually.
So now we're gonna stop for this.
So this is perfect because you have the Andrew Lloyd Webber star right in front of the Pantages. Pantages is already winning a lot of points. I actually think this is. I'm not calling it yet. We haven't gone to the other theaters yet. This is perfect though, to, like, have a stop in front of the star. Anyway, all right. So what do you say we time it out?
Yeah.
We're gonna take a break and be back, but we're gonna time out the walk and see, like, how fast we'd be able to do this thing.
Okay.
So we'll be right back. We're back at the Pantages and we're listening to the on track. So we should specify, you know, if you've seen the show, which I have somehow seen this show, even though I haven't been to New York or London.
Slimy.
Maybe, but right now Jerry and I are listening to the entr'acte of the show. So the way that the second act starts is that for all of the entr'acte, Joe is backstage of the theater, going in and out of the dressing rooms, interacting with different actors. I'm probably gonna have, like, the entr'acte, like, playing under this so you get an idea of, like, what that part sounds like. Like in this part right here when there's this big music swell, that's when he sees Norma in her dressing room with a turban, riding mad about the boy in lipstick and holding a gun on her mirror.
We're not considering here for...
Yeah, and we can't really do that for this video. We don't have access to the backstage of any of these theaters to, like, map out what that would look like. We only have access to these public streets, but when this on track that we're listening to right now finishes playing, that is when you would then walk out of the theater, and at the start of the Sunset Boulevard music, I have to talk to the music when it swells. I have to moderate my voice, modulate. I have to do all that. Imagine that we're backstage at this point, walking in and out of the dressing rooms, and you hear this little dun 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 fanfare thing, and that's when he would be sort of making his way up the final steps out into like usually like the yard of the theater wherever you're at, and then once the music ends, he would clap, 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 and then that's when the music for Sunset Boulevard, the actual song, would start. Great. Okay, I think before we actually film this for real, though, I have to make one really tiny, quick little change. Okay. And now we're ready. Clapping, 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 clapping. We'd be walking out of the doors, through the yard. Jerry's gonna get a bit of the yard. Pretend that I'm about to come out this door that's right here. It's gonna happen in a second. And then we're gonna start the song. I'm gonna start walking. So I'm gonna try to walk. I came out here to make my name, and what I'm trying to do is make it to the corner of this street so we can get the intersection and the Hollywood Boulevard sign. So this is the part where I'm gonna have to book it right here at the start. Okay, we're almost there, we're almost there. I'm gonna stop right here. You can see Hollywood Boulevard right here, and then I'm gonna book it. And when I say book it, I'm gonna book it so fast. In a perfect world, the streets will be crossed off and you won't have tourists stopping to look at the Lin-Manuel Miranda star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, because I'm trying to make it to the other side of the main marquee so we can get this next big shot. Good job, Jerry, good job. You're not running into people. You're not running into people. Perfect, perfect. All right. And then right before Gary Cooper, I'm gonna stop right here, and you're gonna get, and then I'm gonna walk. We're gonna keep walking a little bit further down. You're gonna get more of Hollywood Boulevard right here. You're gonna get the lovely hot dog sellers right behind me. You think I'm sold out, damn. And then I'm gonna slow down for a little bit because we have to get to the special place where we have, and if I'm honest, I like the lady, except it's not a lady, it's Neil Diamond, but pretend it's a really pretty lady. And then my favorite part, because you stop and then I get really close and I go, well, I'm a writer. And then I'm gonna walk this way, and then you're gonna get the beautiful piece of this entryway right here. You can take it a little bit slower. There's a lot of people in the way. But then my favorite part of the whole thing is that you have the Andy Lloyd Webber star right here. And he's gonna get on the ground, kiss it with his lips, lick it with his tongue. He's gonna stand up, and then we're gonna be able to walk directly into the lobby of the Pantages. Perfect, perfect. Love that. Well, we've made it to the actual cesspit that is the Walk of Fame / Chinese Theater, El Capitan, Dolby Theater, one of the most densest and least favorable parts of Hollywood to be in my opinion. But this is the location of our next theater, the Dolby Theater, 3,400 seats. I think it would also work for this Sunset Boulevard revival. We're gonna walk up the ways a little bit, check out the space around, see if there's a really good way to do the walk, and hopefully get away from whatever all of this is. Oh, snakes. I hate it here. So thankfully, the way that I see the Sunset Boulevard walk happening at the Dolby will not require us to actually be down on the street itself, which, thank God, it's disgusting and busy and loud and smells like pee. But I'm imagining that a lot of the walk will actually happen more up here in this Ovation Outdoor Mall area. Hopefully, we're gonna try and map it out, but there might even be a way to get the Hollywood sign, the Hollywood sign, be able to get the Hollywood sign in the background of the video at one point. Oh my God, I'm tired. The escalators don't work, so I don't know why I thought it would be a good idea to walk up the stairs and talk at full volume on a pretty empty stomach. Okay. Okay.
So definitely our playing area is over there.
Our playing area is going to be more over there because there's like a little viewing area. I don't know where. We're either going to have to find the stage door for the Dolby, or I think for this one to work, we might have to come out the front doors of the lobby and then back in the same doors again. If I had to guess, I would think that the stage door for the Dolby is somewhere like way behind the building in a parking lot. Because, you know, it's where they have the Academy Awards. I think it would, I'm assuming security's extra beefy and they make it really hard to access the backstage of this theater because it's so huge and so enormous and has so many big name events. But maybe one of those big name events will be the Sunset Boulevard revival, starring who's a lady? I forget all actresses as soon as I have to think. Halle Berry.
She sings, right?
Sure, when Halle Berry is Norma Desmond in the Sunset Boulevard revival. Obviously, because they're gonna fill a 3,400 seat theater when Halle Berry walks onto that stage to sing As If We Never Said Goodbye.
You never know. What if she's like an incredible singer?
She might be. I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna put in a clip of Halle Berry singing here if I can find a clip of her singing.
I've got rhythm, I've got music, I got my man who could ask for anything more.
Wow, wasn't that great? So before we even get up to the theater, I wanted to point out, ideally we would be able to get the Hollywood sign in the walk. My initial plan was to go down to this little viewing area, but it looks like you could see like right over here, there used to be like these like steps where you could have a viewing area, but right now it's being turned into a Mexican restaurant, it looks like. So I guess we can't use those steps anymore. So we might have to find a different plan of action for how this part of the video would work. All right.
So if you walk in through these, so this is a multi-story lobby. And so basically, we're in the second story of the lobby. As you can see, there's a sign over there that says mezzanine. So that's the entrance to the mezzanine area, right? Mm-hmm. The stage would be over there. So technically, I'm not sure if there is a passage, but if there's possibly a backstage corridor that can get you to the east, either this or there's another door over here.
Yeah.
That you could potentially exit through.
And it would be good to go out from a Pier Y because then you could walk like down that way and maybe get to the Hollywood sign.
Yeah, so you could walk this. Let's try to, because it would be kind of cool also to get this. This is a beautiful little
rotunda. Although it would be hard though because I do kind of like the idea of being down a floor so you can get that little alleyway that has all the Best Picture winners on those signs.
But I think that's too, well, yes. Mm-hmm. I wonder, is Sunset Boulevard original the Best Picture winner?
Is it a Best Picture winner? Hold on, I'm gonna cut for a second to find out.
So no, it was nominated for Best Picture.
It didn't win?
From Paramount. Okay, so Academy Awards, it won score, it won art direction, and it won story and screenplay.
Oh, okay. Good to know. But that wouldn't.
It's not gonna be.
But it's not gonna be down. You'll see in a second. But down there, they have like a bunch of marquees that have like all of the Best Academy Award picture winners. Yeah, I guess we should point out that like one of the appeals is that the TCL Chinese Theater is here. This isn't the theater like the famous like facade. This is like a little annex that has like 6 screens.
Movie over there.
Yeah, it's gonna be like further down that way. We're gonna see maybe if there's a way to get to that. If we can't get to the Hollywood sign, I don't know. Also, this area, this is a very pretty heavy foot traffic area. Again, it's a very, very
it's weird. It's like
touristy part.
It's like so ideally, I do think that ideally this would be the right door to exit. Like you could
because
do
this is
like
the main. This is the main
thing.
floor entrance and exit to the Dolby.
And the cool thing about this is that you get the Best Picture nominee. So coming out.
Wait, speaking to the mic. Speaking to the mic.
So coming out, you would kind of like. It would be kind of cool to get all this because you have first of all the view into Hollywood Boulevard, but also all the Best Picture nominees. And then obviously you get this huge, beautiful thing that says Dolby Theater, and this is where the Academy Awards are held, which I think is cool.
So the Dolby entrance would be over there. We're realizing that like even if you book it, because it's like that is a bit of a walk to get from there all the way to here. Even if you got to right here, you can still barely see
Because of that thing of
the Hollywood sign because of this restaurant construction. Even if it wasn't there though, like I still think that there's a lot of like palm trees. There's gonna be a lot of guests here. I think it would be difficult to like close this off to like foot traffic for the time because this is like an open mall with like shops and things that need to like stay open. So I think we're gonna try, instead of being down on this main mall level, we're gonna go back up there to the second level where we were. There's still like a Hot Topic and stuff, but at least there's not gonna be as many people on foot as there would be now. See if we can get to like that balcony up there.
Yeah.
Get the Hollywood sign, see if we can make it back to the front doors. It's a walk though.
We can do it.
It's a walk, but we're gonna try to do it. Okay, so
So this would be
yeah, this would be the stage door, right? I'd be coming out here, and I would start walking. Sure, I came out here to make my name, and I'm walking. I'm gonna try to make it to a little specific thing right over here. Oh no, we're not gonna make it. Okay, ideally, you would get this little Welcome to Hollywood neon thing. It's kind of cheesy, but I kind of like it. It's kind of very like, well, yeah, this is Hollywood. It's a little chintzy and cheesy and fake and Tinseltowny. But then we're gonna keep walking this way. All right. Dreams are not enough to win a war. I think we might be able to make it to the Hollywood sign now. So we're gonna walk faster. I think we can do this. Okay.
I'm gonna twist this way.
Okay, so you can get to the Hollywood sign in time. That's kind of cool. And then you don't have a lot of time because then you gotta make it back to the theater. Okay. You think I've sold out? Damn right I've sold out. I just keep waiting for the right offer. And if I'm honest, I like the lady. Okay. And then I'm gonna keep walking this way. Hand on the trash can. Well, I'm a writer. And then you gotta walk all the way back the way that you just came. Could go end of the line. Their dreams were yours, their dreams were mine. But in those dreams were hidden dragons. And they can get like one. And then you would walk into the lobby, back through the mezzanine, down the steps, and then he's probably still walking down the steps because it's a pretty big theater, so there's a long way to go. So a lot of this is gonna theoretically be inside the theater that we can't be inside of right now. But you would have like probably chorus members like they do on Broadway who kind of like join him in a mob as he's walking down the steps. They could be sliding down the banisters. You have a man in a monkey suit. Two people are like making out for some reason. There'll be a lot of cool things happening, but just imagine all that's happening right now inside this theater. And Boulevard, I mean, they got and how they started. And then he's walking up on the stage, and he's on stage, and he's standing behind Norma Desmond. Something like that. So, I'm gonna say this one's probably a no.
Why is that?
Because, like I said, this is a very busy public mall area, so I think it'd be hard to like lock any of it down, even for like a little bit of time to do it. There's really not enough time to get to the coolest stuff. Like, if you want to get to the Hollywood sign, you have to book it so fast, and then you have really no time to linger there before you have to come all the way back. There's not time to get like this little alleyway that has all of the best picture winners down there. There's not enough time to make it all the way to the front of the Chinese theater where the handprints are. And then the theater itself is so big you would have to spend so much time inside walking to get back to the stage that I kind of feel like it wouldn't be worth it. Especially for how big this theater is. I think really more than anything it's that Of the 3 theaters that we're trying this at, it's the biggest. It's 3,400 seats, which is absolutely massive. Like I said, this is where they do the Academy Awards most years. And I don't see like producers, even if you get like the biggest name, if you got that girl from Blackpink to be Norma Desmond, what's her name?
I don't know.
I'll put it right here. Even if you got that girl from that K-pop group to be Norma Desmond, I was gonna say it wouldn't sell. Her specifically would sell, but I also don't think that's good casting. Even if you, I'm saying, well, I guess what I'm saying is that even if you got a super big name star, I still don't think a 3,400 seat theater is somewhere you want to sit down something like Sunset Boulevard for that length of an amount of time. Especially, this is really getting into like the nitty gritty, especially because Sunset Boulevard has already been on Broadway. It's already won Tonys. It's already got a Best Actress award. No A-list actress that you could get to play this part is gonna really want to sign on when she doesn't even have the chance to win an award. Unless it's for like a couple weeks or so, but I don't think that the money investment in a theater this big is worth it for only a couple weeks. I think you'd have to run it for like at least a month or 2 months. I think that's more likely at theaters like the Ahmanson or the Pantages that have like regular program seasons, but the Dolby is more of like a special events theater that I think is just in general a harder thing to book. I kind of went on a tangent there. Anyway, that's all the reasons why I'm gonna say this is probably the least likely of the 3. But we have one more to go to, and that is at the Ahmanson Theater is where we're at now. And it's also tomorrow. Also, Jerry has a mic now.
Hello.
So, here at the Music Center, we have 3 theaters. Behind me, you have the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. Right here, you have the Mark Taper Forum. And then right over there is the Ahmanson Theater, and that is going to be our final theater for our Sunset Boulevard walk test. Now, it's a pretty quiet day. Parade just ended, so we have lots of room to move around, to explore, to figure out the best path. And once we do, we're going to figure out if this is the perfect theater to bring the Sunset Boulevard revival. So we're going to start not over here, but we're going to head a little bit that way towards the stage door, and then we're going to explore and see the best way to stage this walk. Follow me. The thing about this theater, well, the thing about this theater is that it's windy all the time because of the flat surface and all of how the Music Center is kind of raised off of the street from the main street. And that gives you a lot of control. We're not having to fight as much pedestrian traffic like we were yesterday at the Dolby and the Pantages. But we're also in downtown LA. We're not in Hollywood proper anymore. So I think when it comes to this meta production of Sunset Boulevard, where it kind of matters like the space that you're in, doing Sunset Boulevard near Sunset Boulevard, we're not anywhere near Sunset Boulevard proper anymore. But like I said, this theater, it's a giant theater. It's around 2,000 seats. They have a yearly season here with musicals, lots of things coming from Broadway or on tour. And I think that if you wanted to do Sunset Boulevard here, having this much space to work with where you don't have to worry about things like closing off sidewalks or closing off streets, that could prove a real boon to the production. So the way that I envision starting this production is a little bit down these steps and around the corner near the stage door. So right here, we're coming down to the corner of Grand and Temple Street. And right over here, where these doors are, is where the stage door of the Ahmanson is, which is where, theoretically, the start of the top of Act 2 of Sunset Boulevard would begin. Okay, so here we go. This is the very last Sunset Boulevard walk, starting now. So we're gonna walk up these steps, out the stage door. I'm gonna take us all the way to where this Anne Juliet sign is, but it's gonna be a Sunset Boulevard sign. And hopefully, if I time it right, I should be going onto these steps at the start of the very first line. Sure, I came out here to make my name, wanted my pool, my dose of fame. And then whoever's playing, Joe's gonna have way better breath control than me. He's not gonna sound so winded. and then I'm gonna walk this way, this way, this way, so that way by the time we get to the first Sunset Boulevard chorus, Sunset Boulevard, and then this Paranormal Activity sign is actually gonna be a Sunset Boulevard sign. I'm gonna walk backwards a little bit, and you're gonna get these like dramatic, cool close-ups of me, and you're gonna be like waving over to the side over here. Great, and then I'm gonna walk this way, and you're gonna hold it like here. Great, and then we're gonna try and make it all the way to the end of this corner so I can make a right and get in front of the step and repeat. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Sunset Boulevard, but it's not gonna say parade, it's gonna say Sunset Boulevard. And then let's talk about how getting there is only the beginning. And I'm gonna sing and sing. I'm gonna talk about how I wanna bang this hot cougar even though she's a little crazy. And then I'm gonna make it all the way over here to the next place we need to get to, which is the poster of Lea Salonga, who's gonna be playing Norma Desmond in this version of the show. And if I'm honest, I like the lady. I can't help being touched by her folly. I'm treading water, taking her money, watching her sunset. Here's my favorite part. Well, I'm a writer. And then we're gonna take it slow for a minute. I'm gonna walk backwards because there's not gonna be any people in my way. I'm just gonna walk backwards until we get to the next part. I'm gonna catch my breath for a second. Because then I'm gonna be in front of the neon sign that says Sunset Boulevard. There's gonna be all of these ensemble members. They're all gonna be dressed in black, and they're all gonna be all sultry and sad with their hands in their pockets. But then we're gonna walk this way forward, and they're gonna fan up behind me like a flock of fabulous Gothic birds. And then we are going to enter into the Amundsen Theater. And this is the part where they're gonna walk down the lobby this way, past the listening devices, past the merch table, past the concessions bar, so that way they can head down these steps over on the house left side that is going to go down, 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 down to the bottom floor of the orchestra, leaving him just enough time to make it inside of the theater, up the steps, and on the stage for the big finale moment, which I'm going to do right now here on Sunset Boulevard. I'm not gonna do the splits though, but I'm gonna do like a cool like Matrix bullet time. Whoa! And that is how you do the Sunset Boulevard walk at the Amundsen Theater. Great, how was that?
Beautiful.
I think we got it. Let's see. Okay, so we've tried out all 3 Sunset Boulevard walks at the Pantages, the Dolby, and the Amundsen Theater. Jerry, I think we're going to sort of do some pros and cons and determine where the perfect place for this would be.
Okay, so first we got the Pantages.
So pros of the Pantages.
I think it's in Hollywood. I think that's its main. I mean, there's something really cool about this production being about Hollywood, and you have Hollywood Boulevard like right there.
Yeah. And I think the Pantages is the most Hollywood. Like, I know that the Dolby Theater is like on the Walk of Fame, like next to the Chinese Theater, but you saw from like the walk, we're not able to get most of that space. I think the Pantages being such a beautiful Art Deco style theater, having that beautiful lobby, which we couldn't get, but like I'll probably like throw some pictures in of like what the inside of the lobby looks like, but it is like a perfect like 30s, 40s Hollywood style looking room for this musical set in the 1940s in Hollywood.
Beautiful.
Has that going for it.
And it has Andrew Lloyd Webber star.
It has the Andrew Lloyd Webber star on the Walk of Fame, which is honestly kind of the most perfect thing we could have asked for, is that in a meta show that is very like aware of itself being a show that is being performed for people.
I do think that it was like, out of the 3 theaters we saw, it was the most... There's something about this walk having people in the background. Yeah. That is like, sadly, like at this one, it wasn't. Like at the Dolby, it was too much. And then here, it's like too little, I feel. Possibly. It is a non-show day, so maybe that would be different. But like, there's something cool about Pantages being like right in between. It's like right enough removed from like the craziness, but it's also still has people. It's still...
the Pantages isn't in like the most high-density, touristy part of Hollywood like the Dolby is. So good theater for the setting of the show, good location on Hollywood Boulevard for the meta aspect of it, great that the Andrew Lloyd Webber star of the Walk of Fame is there. Also very cool for the meta aspect show that is very much playing with celebrity and like our like worship and our ideas of celebrity and like creators and creatives. Cons. What are the cons for you?
Cons for the Pantages? That walk was a little like we were speeding it. I wonder if once the logistics of that, of like when to exit and stuff would be. Obviously, we're also not talking about, we don't know what the backstage looks like in any of these theaters. So I think that would be a big factor too, probably. But it seems like the Pantages probably is just like any other big old theater. Like I'm assuming, maybe people can comment if they know the Pantages backstage. But like I know that I have a few friends, so I'm gonna ask them. But other than that, I don't know what it looks like. So that, and then, I mean, I guess closing this, but I don't think you need to close.
I was gonna say this, it's really loud. I think the Pantages is the loudest because there's so much traffic and so many buses and so many ambulances and sirens. At the Dolby and at the Amundsen, we're both kind of set in from the street far enough that you're not getting a lot of like traffic noise. But that was a big part when we filmed the Pantages one. I was like, oh, stop, there's a really loud bus going by.
It would be definitely bigger because it's the biggest, probably the biggest boulevard or like just biggest street that this production would have played in, because the West End and Broadway don't have these big streets. So I do think, yes, that is its biggest con. I agree.
Yeah. Okay, and what about the Dolby Theater? Pros of the Dolby.
Pros of the Dolby. The Hollywood sign is probably the biggest pro.
The fact that you can, that the way that we did the walk, you could get the Hollywood sign in the background, if just for a moment, but getting that Hollywood sign there, and that I think is pretty cool.
You are in, this is something I didn't research. Yeah. Did Sunset Boulevard premiere there, like the movie?
Oh, the movie?
I wonder. At the Chinese theaters, which you do get the Chinese theaters background in the back.
Yeah. That's an interesting. I will look that up. I'll see like where did the Sunset Boulevard film premiere. Like if you could do this musical like next door to the theater, the Chinese theater where it premiered at, that would be great. I think it's both a pro and a con that the Dolby is the largest of the three. I want to say it's all around like 3,400 seats, which is absolutely massive. If you could get someone really cool, like name a woman. Jennifer Aniston.
Yes.
I don't know if you could.
She sings.
Yeah, sure. If you could get like, if you could get like A-list star to play Norma Desmond in this production, then like having this theater be so massive would be great. I also think that's a con because sometimes if a theater is too big, it's a hard sell to producers to like, are you really going to fill every seat of this theater every single night?
So it premiered in Radio City Music Hall in New York.
What is that? Sunset Boulevard?
In New York.
Premiered at Radio City Music Hall. Oh, interesting. Oh, it didn't premiere in Hollywood. That's interesting.
No. Interesting. Apparently, well, there's drama. There's drama. Go to the
always
wiki page.
With Sunset Boulevard. There's always drama.
Yes, but
cons of the Dolby.
Oh, yes, it's just such a big walk. It's so funny. Something we were noticing about how, even though the Dolby you're inside of a mall, the walks were so much bigger than like just walking around the entire block of
like the sidewalk block of the Pantages is actually a smaller space than you think it is. The walk through the mall next to the Dolby Theater to get to the Hollywood sign is actually huge. Like a trek. Is a huge
and it was
walk.
Also, I mean, this could be probably you could close that off. I think much more easily in a way, but it was still, I don't know. It was a different crowd. There was like a bunch of tourists. Very different crowd.
You're gonna have a lot of tourists, like people who don't even know what Sunset Boulevard is. People who are like visiting from out of town, out of the country.
Was so different from.
Yeah, even though like the Dolby and the Pantages are only like a couple blocks separated, they are entirely different like crowd demographics. Like the Pantages crowd is mostly theater people who are coming to see a show.
Even when it's tourists, I feel like because you have Amoeba Music and you have Capitol Records and stuff.
You have the Funko Pop store.
You have the Funko Pop. So it's a little bit more niche than like the Hollywood, that's
the Hollywood
Chinese
Boulevard,
theater.
the El Capitan, the Dolby, the Chinese theater.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely put the Pantages above the Dolby.
Oh, by 100.
In terms of how likely and also like how much it makes sense.
Yeah.
The Amundsen though, I think is an interesting one.
It is
because
cool
it's
choice.
in the middle of where I don't know if it's the most perfect spot, but I found that this walk that we did here right now to be like the easiest to plan and figure out and like has the most space to play inside of.
Yes. Also, this building is beautiful. Like, I do think it even like
Space is
works
beautiful.
with visually with the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you have these like beautiful columns and like even the back, this like, you know, this mural that's in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a lot of shapes. It reminded me also of like old cinema, but I want to say like, I don't know if it's the right term, but like brutalism or like what's the
Brutalism,
German
expressionism.
Yeah, it's
German
like it
expressionism.
looks on camera like it's that, like it's like echoing this older time that's very
And
artistic.
I didn't consider though that like that the walk is in black and white. So imagine like having all of these columns and all of these like different shapes to play with shadows, this like white brick and these like dark shadows. Like I feel like in black and white,
It looks cool.
that'll look really cool. So I think there's that going for it too, is that it is still visually interesting to be here.
Yes.
You don't have a lot of crowds to deal with because the most people that are going to be here are going to be inside the theater already seeing the show. You're not going to have to block off any streets. You're not dealing with traffic noises. Cons though,
Cons.
we are pretty far from Hollywood at this point.
Yes, but I do think, I mean, like what I said earlier, like it's still commenting on, I mean, it's doing the same thing that it did in West End and New York. Like, it still didn't matter that you were you're still in LA, which is
Yeah.
still a big plus.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's a line that says LA changed a lot over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and you still got a little bit of LA in the back, which I think
Mm-hmm.
is cool.
Yeah, like you can't, City Hall is right over there.
Yeah.
You couldn't see City Hall from the walk that we did, but like, we're not necessarily in like the film center of LA, but we are in like the arts and culture and like economic center of LA by being here at the Music Center in downtown.
Yes.
So I think it's, like you said, it would be playing with the more of like the film, not so much playing with the film meta aspect of the show, but the theater meta aspect of the show. And I think here in this music center where you have so many theaters and art centers,
Yeah.
there is still commentary here.
No,
to be
honestly, I was very pro the Dolby and Pantages, like before we did this one, because of the Hollywood aspect. But I do think the Amundsen would be a great choice.
Yeah.
Like,
It also is the smallest of the three. Dolby's 3,400. Pantages, I want to say, is 2,600, and then Amundsen's only 2,000 seats. So this would be the smallest theater to fill. But for a show that, like, as much as I love it, it's not like, it's no Mamma Mia or Hamilton. Like, it is like, this production is like a weird, strange interpretation of a show that is pretty well known, but not like mega well known. Like, it's, Sunset Boulevard versus Phantom of the Opera. It's like, well, of course, everyone knows Phantom. Not everyone knows Sunset. I think it would be easier to sell it at a theater that is the smallest of the three if the logistics of pulling off this outside theater filming aspect is the easiest one to do it at. To close it out, unless you have any more thoughts about
No.
this is like closing it out. Pantages and Amundsen are the most likely.
yes. For sure.
I do give like a slight advantage to the Pantages for its like
Yes.
Hollywood aspect, for its Walk of Fame, for its Andrew Lloyd Webber star. The Dolby to me is the least likely. I don't think they want to sell a
No.
theater that big, and I don't think that the Walk is particularly doable in a way that makes it worth being in that space. And Amundsen's somewhere in between.
I feel like
me.
the Amundsen's really close to me. Like, I do
Yeah.
think that I also would put the Pantages at the very top, but I
With-
think the Amundsen could be a really cool choice as well.
In a
Like,
photo finish, Pantages beats Amundsen by like half a millisecond.
Yeah.
And then Dolby's like a little further back in like 8th place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, Jamie Lloyd Company, if you're watching, here's two fans that really want to see this show come to LA. Yeah, I've enjoyed making this. It's fun to do a little film excursion in within a very like theater heavy culture that we both seem to be like really obsessed with here in LA. I would love to see a show that blends theater and film in a city that we both live in that blends theater and film so beautifully so much of the time. So yeah, like and subscribe. Is that how you
All right.
end these things?
Let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments if
what
there
you
are
think.
Let us know what you think. Let us know if there's a theater we forgot. I know that as soon as I upload this video, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, we didn't even consider the Segerstrom Theater down in Long Beach. Oh my God, what's wrong with this?
I will say there's something, I mean, I don't think it's, but there is, you know, this movement in LA that's trying to revive all the older theaters in downtown.
yeah.
And I think those are cool options that could be also an interesting, you know, commentary on the show about these old
abandoned theaters that never get used for anything anymore.
Yeah, that really were forgotten in the same way that Norma was, right?
Yeah.
So I think that would be an interesting choice as well.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have time to go through those. But let us know in the comments what you think.
Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.